we are going to talk about something that we haven't talked about so far, which is we're breaking through and out of the world of Sean. As usual, you're smart ass. Love that. So we're breaking out of the world of hard surface and we're going into organic form, organic form, right? So we were talking about the primitives. We had our cube and cone and cylinder and sphere. Sphere was actually is the only thing that was purely organic here. And the first thing when you think about organic form or transferring from sort of like hard surface form to organic form is a little something called a chamfering, right? Chamfering or smoothing. So, what does chamfering mean? If any of you ever, had an affair with a 3D program, you would know that there's a thing that is called to chamfer a corner. And basically, if you go and soften your corners on your primitives, and you can indicate just a little bit of the transition here without fully like dividing with a complete line, you start to get something that already looks kind of organic, right? So these guys turn into something like that. And that gives you a whole lot of possibilities already with how you indicate, with how you take things that you already know that are not organic and turn them into organic. You see a goop stain? Like so. So what is it good for? Well, it's good for many, many things. Like even if before you were able to only draw a car like this, whoop, right? With your newfound chamfering ability, you can start to make it something a little more akin to the cars that you see on the street. You see what I mean? And all you did was smooth some corners. You see? So that's one thing. You're not too late, flop. So that's one thing you can do when you chamfer or smooth stuff. But it goes even further than that, because I know that all of you are really vying deep in your hearts to start to draw humans. And one of the things that you all know about and probably do a little bit of is to draw these boxy mannequins. These boxy mannequins of humans. For example, right? Something like this. So you have your little box mannequin. But then you ask me, xyphid, Mr. Daniel, how do you go from this to this? And you're not even drawing the guidelines and whatever. And how can you do that, right? And that doesn't look great proportion-wise, but let's just imagine that this is a good human. Okay, so And then what I'm going to tell you is chamfering or softening or whatever you want to call it is kind of like halfway to a fully rendered human from a box mannequin, for example, because you take that box mannequin and you soften it a little bit and you connect it a little bit. And even though you don't know any anatomy just yet, you already have something that is halfway to this, because I'll tell you something, right? But the things that you're really going to understand, for example, about when you draw a human, the more you know about anatomy and your bone structure, etc., the more you can understand this in more and more complex, sort of like polygonal um, hard surface planes, right? So you understand the structure in planes like so, and you can keep building it more accurately from planes like so with your newfound anatomical knowledge that you will have at some point. And if you can smooth this, right? If you can smooth the red stuff, then you essentially have yourself a human. Right? So this is smoothing, and that's the basis for sort of like trying to start to convert what you know from hard surface into um, organic forms. But organic forms are much, much more than that. And Phi, to your question, yes, absolutely. That's exactly what is happening. All right. So, does anybody have questions about chamfering or rounding or smoothing or whatever you want to call it? If not, then we'll just continue to our next explanación. By the way, I'm just going to show you here what happens when you start adding some of these cross contour lines over your forms that are chamfered. Something like that. All right. So, but organic form is much more than it's much more than just chamfering everything that you know hard surface, right? Because an organic form can be a piece of weird gum. In fact, if you draw blobs, right? At this point, you have no idea what these blobs are in terms of in 3D space. They could be many, many things. And so, how do you start understanding them in 3D space? And I'll show you something interesting. It's all about the cross contours, right? So I can take this blob and draw some cross contours. And now all of us, we all have a pretty good idea. Are there ads right now? If there are ads, that's kind of weird. during the stream, because I did not try to do that. Are there? Let me please look. Let me take a look. Okay. At the start is fine, but like midstream, there shouldn't be anything. Okay. Where is that thing? So, right, can you see, like, so we now all have an idea of what this turned into, some kind of a rock. But I can change this rock into something else. For example, look at this. By changing the cross contours, I now have a different type of object, right? It's like, it's also some kind of a rock, but on top we have like this kind of like this bump. And so we can go ahead and take all of these. And for example, there you go. Depending on what we do with our cross contours, we can have them become different organic shapes. For example, here, I have created some kind of a nook. And here, we just have a very soft shape. And so forth and so forth. So this is basically the full range of what an organic form can be. So now I want to look at some of the most common behaviors that you should know about, that you should start looking for in your own drawings and when you analyze references. So you might have heard about these things. And let me just merge some layers down here. Okay, so you might have heard about some of these things. And the first behavior is called a bending, right? So bending, we all have been drawing our cubes, right? Various cubes. But one of the first things that we can do to start making them more organic and in turn more alive is to bend them. And I'll show you what that looks like. If you take this guy and you bend it. Right? If you take this guy, you can bend it. Just a second. Right? For example, what are some things that we know that bend? Could be the human body here, for example. It could just be a piece of gum. As we bend things, we want to start looking at things to really understand it. We want to start checking our cross sections, like so.